50% of miscarriages happen because of sperm quality. I remember myself really thinking, but 50%? It's not 20%, 25%, it's 50%. But really what led us to launch WeNatal was when we came across the research on how easy it is for men to improve their sperm quality. If a man is simply taking a multivitamin with CoQ10, vitamin C, L-carnitine, a bunch of other antioxidants, they can really improve the chances of a healthy pregnancy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Brydge podcast. Today, we are joined by Ronit and Vida, the co-founders of WeNatal. So WeNatal is the first prenatal supplement for both her and him, shifting prenatal care from women-centered to couples-centered. The team is backed by industry-leading experts, including Dr. Mark Hyman, Chris Kresser, and Kelly LeVeque. So excited to have you guys on the show. I was mentioning this is my first time ever interviewing co-founders, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Welcome in today.
Oh my gosh, we're so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, I'd love to kick it off by just hearing a little bit about the founding story of WeNatal. How and why did you guys come together to build this company?
Sure. It's a fun story. We actually never envisioned ourselves to be in the supplement game. It was kind of the result of similar to many co-founders, when life just hits you and you react. And so Ronit and I met close to 20 years now in our corporate careers at Nike, both ways in the business and marketing space, and kind of went through life together until we were married around the same time and went on to try to have kids around the same time, kind of living every best friend's dream of trying to go through life stages together. And it wasn't until early 2020 we both experienced miscarriages a week apart. And it was actually my second miscarriage and her first. And all the answers I'd been given in the medical system were very dismissive, matter of fact. It's very common. Keep trying. You're lucky you even got pregnant. And really, I took that as to be the truth because I didn't know any better. It was my second one. I just felt like I am doing something wrong. My body's failing me. And I took it as my fault. And they didn't make me feel, they didn't say it outright, but it was pretty much like I was asked the questions and nothing else. And it was only when it happened together and Ronit was working alongside the best functional medicine practitioner, Dr. Mark Hyman, and she had dedicated years to studying functional medicine, that she wasn't willing to accept the nonsense answers that she got as well.
Yeah. And for me, I knew that just from being in the functional medicine space for so long, that when something goes on in your body, it's a signal that there's some sort of imbalance, something's going on. And of course, being 41 at the time, I thought the imbalance was with me. And I just thought, okay, it's probably my egg quality. I'm going to learn everything that I can learn on how to improve egg quality. And in doing so, I came across a ton of research on sperm quality and miscarriages. And I learned that 50% of miscarriages happen because of sperm quality. Of course, it's the most intuitive thing ever. But I remember myself really thinking, but 50%? It's not 20%. It's not 25%, it's 50%. And yet nobody is talking about it. But really what kind of led us to launch WeNatal was when we came across the research on how easy it is for men to improve their sperm quality. Men have this incredible ability to regenerate sperm. And when they take high dose antioxidants, they have a quadruple chance of getting their partner pregnant and having a live birth. So if a man is simply taking a multivitamin with CoQ10, vitamin C, L-carnitine, a bunch of other antioxidants, they can really improve the chances of a healthy pregnancy. And so I called Vida and I was like, why isn't anybody talking about this? And we were like, okay, we were set on a mission. And initially the concept was a men's prenatal. But then we also saw a huge gap in the women's prenatal space. And we felt like women deserve better. There's just so much information out there. There's so much confusion out there. There's so many brands, but there wasn't anything that we wanted to take. We were taking something that was $85 a month, but we had to add at least 3 additional supplements to it. It had 8 pills, plus we were taking the additional. So it was a lot. And we just thought like, we deserve better. Our daughters deserve better. And, we set off on this journey to launch WeNatal.
That's crazy that 50% of miscarriages are caused by horse sperm. That's a fact that I had no idea about. Why do you think no one is like talking about that, or why do you think no one addressed it in the past?
I think it's societal history that like we are the bearer of the children. And so we've tended to place, most of the conversation of fertility around women. And we focus on their age and their diet and all the things they're doing. And we're scrutinized during this time frame. And, there's all these misconceptions out there that men could have kids that are basically 100. And you see these celebrities at 80, getting women pregnant. And so there's a lot of myths out there. And it's time, I think, when we found this out, we're like, the narrative needs to shift. Society needs to put both partners together on the front table to say like, let's check both of you. Let's do this together. Let's both put our best foot forward in order to invest in the lifelong health of our children. And so we're here to break some of those myths, and re-educate and kind of, go back into take today and go forward and re-educate people on what is true and what is not.
Yeah. What are some of the other myths around fertility?
I think a big myth that I personally like to bust is that you're too old to have a baby. I would say I had my first at the age of 38, and I did not think I was old at all. I didn't feel old. I didn't look old. And then I had my second at the age of 42, and I got pregnant. So this was 3 months after my miscarriage. I put my husband on the regimen that ended up becoming WeNatal. And I got pregnant 3 months later, at the age of 41. And so I think for me, a big myth is that your eggs just get old as you age. But actually what we want to share and what we have been working so hard to share is that there's so much that a woman can do to improve her egg quality in the 3 to 6 months leading up to ovulation. And so I would say it's never too late. And, I would say a lot of fertility doctors will just look at me and say, you're lucky. And I disagree with them. I feel like there's just a lot that people could do from a lifestyle perspective to improve their fertility at any age.
I love that because I feel like I'm 31 now, and I feel like I'm in that age where there's a lot of fear and talk around my friends of we need to have kids now or soon because they say you might not be able to as you get older. And I think it's such an important thing to debunk and talk about.
Yeah. And I will add to that, just like Vida was sharing, that there's this kind of misconception that men's fertility doesn't decline, but actually, yes, a man can have a baby at the age of 85. That a woman cannot do. But their sperm quality does decline with age. So it's very important for men to know that, if they're in their mid-30s, that they should be focused on improving their sperm quality.
Amazing. So you had this idea. How did you take it from idea to going out and actually formulating and creating your WeNatal products?
Okay, so step one is we met up at a Whole Foods in the Valley because of location, and we created a Google Doc called Bestico because we're best friends. We didn't know what the name of the company was going to be. We're like, okay, let's just call it Bestico for now. But we just started to put our ideas on paper, and then we just went step by step. But the foundation of it was really the formulation. And so being in the space that I was in, the functional medicine space, and having access to people like Dr. Mark Hyman and Kelly LeVeque, we formulated a team of advisors that helped us create the formulation. We thought that the formulation would take 3 months, but we worked on it for about 2 years, and we actually reformulated after launching as well. So the formulation was the foundation of it all. Also, just both of us being brand people coming from Nike, I think we invested a lot of time and energy into the branding, what the packaging is going to look like, what the consumer experience is going to look like. And that was kind of step 2, the packaging component and the branding.
Correct.
I would say step 3 was before launching, we really were just so passionate about getting our idea out there that we started to create content on social, and we started to create and we created a fertility guide where we collected emails. And so we started to kind of build that following and build an email audience before launching. But the truth is it wasn't like we need emails and we need this following before we launch. It was really because we wanted to get our idea out there, and the growth came organically from there.
And I just add that, we didn't necessarily know when we incepted the brand, men were not on the radar yet. Like, this fertility crisis that we're living amidst was not a conversation. And so it was a gamble. We wanted to reinvent the space. We saw a gap, which most founders see, or else why would you launch a product? But we saw a huge gap in a saturated space on the women's side. And we saw a mind-blowing opportunity on the men's side. One, that they have this unique ability to change their whole proposition when trying to conceive a baby, right? You can literally change you and your partner's chances of having a healthy pregnancy and a healthy child. And we wanted to also take the burden off of women and create some unity and create community within this process. We know, as all of us are having kids later in life and pursuing careers, and it is a bit more daunting and overwhelming trying to find the truth in this space. That's why we also made education part of our mission. We were so stressed out, we wanted to try to find sources of truth in easy to understand and grasp ways. And lifestyle, nutrition, we're committed to all of it, not just the supplement. And that's why we're also one of the only brands that came out with a journal, because you can't treat the mind and body separately. It's all connected. And this space is so stressful. We wanted to give anyone trying to expand their family easy, simple tools of gratitude and getting back to loving and caring thoughts for yourself, for your partner, whatever it may be, that definitely changes your physiology and biochemistry when you're trying to conceive. So we tried to think of it holistically and root our brand in the latest clinical research and science. And that was the epitome of what we're about. And even the reformulation came from, we didn't expect to reformulate 6 months into a brand. That sounds and it was a logistical nightmare, packaging, redoing your label, But we literally couldn't ignore that a new peer-reviewed 200 clinical studies were evaluated for the best nutrition for fertility. And we're we're not going to ignore this. We're going to jump on the boat and continue to be the best prenatal out there. And so that was kind of our commitment to be this innovative brand that leads from the front.
First, can you speak to what you mean by the fertility crisis and just give people a little bit of a better picture around what you mean by that?
When we experienced our loss, we obviously shared about it with our friends, and we realized that we were not alone. And I feel like almost every single one of our friends had a miscarriage, but technically the stats are 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a miscarriage. But when we talk about the fertility crisis as a whole, we're seeing this trend of population decline. And this trend is also associated with a trend in fertility that's also declining. So for instance, if we talk about men, sperm counts have declined by 50% in the last 50 years. So when you think about it, wow, a man today has 50% less sperm compared to their grandfather.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's multifactorial. Some researchers, like Dr. Shauna Swan, correlates that decline with plastics and environmental toxins. So, but I think it's also a combination of diet, stress, lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, the toxic food system that so many people are consuming. I think it's multifactorial. But with that, we can see with our community and with testimonials that we're hearing that there is a lot that a man can do to improve their sperm quality, and which means not just quality, count, morphology. And then just on the women's side, we also see fertility declining. There's this 1% effect that we've been seeing in the last 50 years where miscarriages are increasing by 1% every year. PCOS, which is the number one cause of infertility, is also on the rise. So there's a lot going on. And when you look at, as a couple, 1 in 6 couples are struggling with infertility. So that's, astounding stats out there. And, for Vida and I, we're so passionate about the fact that right now, what's kind of in the mind space of the everyday person is, okay, if I am struggling with infertility, my next step is IVF. That is, and a lot of people actually go straight to IVF because they think, okay, well, I'm 35 and I have insurance for fertility treatments. So I'm not even going to try to conceive naturally. But for Vida and I, we are so passionate about talking about that in between. Like, there is just so much that a woman and a man can do to optimize their own fertility. Why go through all that trouble if you don't have to? And actually, the stats show that, a couple that is going through IVF, 1 out of 4 of them, they don't even check the men.
Wow, that's crazy.
And also, all of the things that we talk about are very supportive of a fertile environment for couples that are going through IVF and IUI and for various fertility treatments.
What was in the first formulation, and then what did you change to create your product that's now?
From a high level, let's first talk about what's not in our product. So if you go to CVS, Target, really anywhere, and you look at the nutrition facts, underneath the nutrition facts, there's a paragraph of additional ingredients that should not be in your prenatal. Colors, fillers, binders, preservatives. You don't need any additional junk other than the nutrients that are in your prenatal. So that's number 1. Number 2, B vitamins, specifically vitamin B9, folate, which a lot of people interchange folate with folic acid. It is in the methylated version. Methylated means it's bioavailable. Anybody can absorb it. There are about 40% of the population that cannot utilize the synthetic form, folic acid. And so for us, we're using the bioavailable form. The reason why so many prenatals on the market have folic acid is because it's cheaper, it's synthetic, but unfortunately, 40% of the population can't utilize it. The other thing is dosages of ingredients. So even if you have the most perfect prenatal profile, it's important to look at the dosages. It needs to be kind of in this sweet spot, right? You don't want too much, you don't want too little. And so, for instance, vitamin D in WeNatal is 4,000 IUs because that is the research around pregnancy, postpartum. It's super important. WeNatal has 24 key ingredients and includes ingredients that a lot of prenatals completely miss, like choline. Choline is crucial for baby brain development, crucial for postpartum if you're breastfeeding. And it's important, again, to look at the dosages because WeNatal has 4,000 IUs of choline, while a lot of the common prenatals on the market, if they have choline, it's like 50 milligrams. So how we changed the formulation is, honestly, we looked at we kind of lowered actually some of our dosages. We had higher dosages of vitamin B, which we have an advisor. Her name is Kathy Swift. They call her the mother of functional nutrition. She is actually the one who introduced Dr. Hyman to functional medicine. And, she always talks about this U-shaped curve for the nutrients and making sure that it's not too much, not too little. And so we kind of tweaked the formula in that sense. It wasn't like a complete overhaul. Our base formulation was amazing. We just kind of like tweaked it to be like a little bit better and, obviously backed by science.
And then Dr. Hyman is who actually formulated the product?
He formulated it with us. We had a few other doctors that were involved. Dr. Afrouz Damiri at the time was the head of functional medicine at UC Irvine. Why we brought her in is because she not only was a doctor, but also had this clinical experience of working with couples that were specifically in the trying to conceive infertility space. And so we were able to not only look at the research, but also look at kind of like clinical data. We have the most amazing functional nutrition team. So these are registered dietitians that have the training and that literally live and breathe like every single nutrient. And we love them so much. So we have Lisa Dreyer, Kelly LeVeque, Bridget Tigemeyer. We have like a really good team of nutritionists.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question. Other than taking like a prenatal, what are some other things that men or women can be doing to improve their fertility?
Yeah. So taking a prenatal is like low-hanging fruit. That is easy. That doesn't require a crazy behavior change, especially because our prenatal only has 3 capsules per serving. By the way, there are a lot of prenatals out there that are like 8 pills per serving. And like, I don't know any woman in their first trimester that's nauseous that can actually stomach those. So prenatal, low-hanging fruit. But the way that we kind of think about what else can you do is we look at it in 2 categories. What are the things that are going to enhance your fertility? And what are the things that are going to block your fertility? So let's talk about the blockers first. Environmental toxins, like we talked about, that are oftentimes found in the water that you're drinking and the air that you're breathing. So how can you create in your home a clean air situation? Open your windows, invest in an air filter, get some plants in the house. Water is something that we're consuming all day. So investing in a good water filter, whether it's reverse osmosis or getting a water delivery system. Like I used to have Mountain Valley water, it comes in glass. And then the other kind of fertility blockers, I would say, are things that you put on your skin, usually in your bathroom. I always say like bathroom and kitchen are probably the most toxic places in your house. And so how do you detox those 2 places? It's, doing the swaps and looking at certain things that, back when I was trying to conceive Eden, my first, I would say clean makeup was like a downgrade. It felt like a downgrade, but now there's such great products out there that are clean. And we recommend the Think Dirty app or EWG, where people can look at how clean their products are and slowly swap them out. You don't need to like throw out everything in your bathroom at once. Slowly swap them out. Look at your shampoo, conditioner, perfumes. If you like a scent, use an essential oil or spray perfume on your hair or on your clothes instead of on your skin. And then your kitchen also, swapping out your pans. If anybody is using nonstick, using Teflon, swap that to the cleaner nonstick ceramics. Try to swap out your plastic for glass or stainless steel. And so that's kind of like the blockers that are in our house. Then when we talk about fertility enhancers, you can really enhance your fertility with a Mediterranean diet. And there's actually research that shows that a man or a woman who's eating a Mediterranean diet that's essentially colorful fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, protein, and low in sugar, processed foods, oils, seed oils, can really improve their fertility. Opting for organic when you can. And then investing in your sleep, good quality sleep can also improve your stress. And then also finding some sort of mindfulness practice that works for you. I always say that when I get pregnant, I have the worst anxiety. And then I become this like SOS meditator. And I'm like, I need to download an app right now. I need to download an app right now that will like help me meditate. But getting those tools in advance to help support your fertility journey will also support your pregnancy, your postpartum, that type of thing.
Amazing. I'm now thinking about the filters in my house that I need to go swap out.
We actually have a free guide that has recommendations with, not super crazy price points on, our favorites. If you go to wenatal.com/guide, you can get all of our tips.
That kind of brings me to your marketing. So tell me, like, how did you guys think about the brand for WeNatal? Like, where does the name come from? How do you think about the packaging? And then, beyond doing like the fertility test, how have you like really scaled the growth marketing and gotten the product into customers' hands?
Yeah, when we started with the name, that was a fun one because we wanted to make it intuitive that we're, putting the we back into baby making. And when we laugh a lot, but society typically says, we're having a baby, we're trying, we're in this together, my favorite one. And I personally was like, where is the we in this process? It felt like it was all on me. And so, WeNatal is so intuitive. It's prenatals for him and her. The we can be your community. The we can be us for you, the information that we wish we had. And so the name, I think when we incepted it, we loved it because it clearly says what it is. And then, like she mentioned, we loved branding. We loved making something that we're proud of, that we wouldn't hide in ugly cabinets. So the branding was very intentional. When we were trying to get pregnant, Ronit had me on a regimen with like 15 prenatal supplement. I, first of all, could not take that many pills. She was like downing them all. I was like nursing one per meal and it was not doable. So one, we got the nutrient density of 6 to 8 capsules in 3. So that was a big accomplishment and very innovative manufacturing that we're very proud of. But also we were ripping plastic packets every day and throwing it. And we're like, it's counterintuitive. You're trying to create a better, healthier planet for the babies that you're bringing into it. And it felt very wasteful. And also I was hiding all the ugly prenatal bottles in my cabinet and I would forget to take it. And a prenatal is only as good as taking it. So we are like, we want to make something beautiful that you wouldn't mind leaving out, that's easy to take a couple a day and, be proud of it. And so we incepted beautiful glass jars with our brand designers so that we feel proud to leave it in our bathroom, in our kitchen, and remember to take it every day. And so that was something that, also took time, and we're so proud of where we landed. And people, like, when they open our boxes, it's typically a fun unboxing because they're like, they don't expect a prenatal or any supplement to be gorgeous and beautiful.
Which is actually why when we launched, a lot of people were sharing it on social. Like the intention, like we never said like, post it on social, use this hashtag. No, like people were just like really excited about the unboxing. And I'll say one more thing about the brand and the brand designer. We initially, our colors were kind of like pink and green, but then we felt like it was too feminine. And because we wanted the man to be part of the brand and to did not feel like, oh, this is like my wife or my partner's thing that she's giving me. We adjusted the colors to be not super feminine. I mean, it's not masculine, but it's kind of like in the middle. And then the other thing with a brand designer, just like a tip to your audience, is when we started to reach out to brand designers, oh my God, we were getting quotes for like 120 grand because we were like, we loved like different brands and we would figure out who their brand designers were. And then we ended up finding somebody. I was on some brand design website and I saw a package of a brand that I really liked and I knew the founder. So I called the founder and I said, how did this agency do? Did you like them? And she's like, oh yeah, but the girl who was actually the brand designer from the agency left and started her own brand design company. And she was amazing. And so we reached out to her. Her name is Katie Forner. And I feel like we were able to afford her because she had just left this agency. She just started her career, but she was super talented. And now I think if we start our next brand, we probably won't be able to afford her anymore. But I would say like, it's always good to kind of find up and coming talent.
Yeah. Love that. Shout out to Katie, and we'll have to get like her website or something for the show notes. That's amazing. Because brand design, those quotes can get pretty out of control.
Out of control.
I think anything in the entrepreneurial world can, like if you look at website prices and any agency, and you need a ton of expertise in different areas that you don't have it, but we found a lot of success in really talented freelancers who might be working on multiple brands who could dedicate, start with small hours and then grow with them.
And to that point of like, obviously all of this costs money. How have you guys thought about either bringing on external capital? Like, are you going after venture capital dollars, and how are you thinking about that for WeNatal?
Yeah, I mean, we're bootstrapped up until, today. What we're very fortunate is that we met with a lot of our advisors. We were excited to launch without, the need to drive a ton of venture capital money, and also start small. And I think the guidance we got very early on from some of our advisors, if you don't need the money, don't raise it. Like, you need to make sure you're profitable. That's what investors want. And so we're very fortunate that we ran a very lean ship from the start. We invested our own, kind of dollars with a few friends and family who really raised their hands. We didn't ask them. They're like, we want to be part of what you're growing. And it was a compliment. And we wanted, some really strong, talented people behind us who wanted to invest. And that was all we did. And, we don't know where the world will take us. Of course, there might be opportunities to expand in different ways, but we are so passionate about just growing this through authenticity, through credibility, through organic word of mouth, through our amazing advisory board who's been incremental in driving, sales and word of mouth. And so you never know I think the answer right now. We're very proud of, being able to reinvest our dollars back in the company and grow in a sustainable way.
And it's interesting because like, all of our competition, by the way, is fully well-funded.
Kind of why I've asked.
And when we see them, not that we really look, because honestly, we don't pay that much attention, but they're definitely doing a lot of things. And for us, being bootstrapped, we're very strategic with how we spend our money. And, we're not tackling everything at the same time. Like, we have never done a paid ad. We have, not spent a penny on like any social ads or anything like that. And, there will come that time. But for now, we're kind of doing things in phases, seeing what works for us. And it takes a little bit of like also this co-founder balance, because I'm very much like, let's go. Let's invest in PR. Let's do digital. Let's, like all these things. And Vida's like, whoa, slow your roll. Like, and so it's a little bit of this balance that's like really amazing that we have, that I push her a little bit. She holds me back a little, and it works for us.
And I do think you're like forced to lay a really strong business foundation when you don't just like automatically or initially bring on a ton of venture capital dollars. So I'm sure that's also part of the reasoning.
It's been rewarding. And I think it's set the operational excellence that we need to grow and scale. And sometimes you can look left or right and say like, oh my God, this brand is everywhere. And the claims are, nonsense, and there's nothing in it. They're claiming it's the best one. So it's hard sometimes when you're so passionate and you have so much to share, and your product far exceeds anything on the market. But we've been very fortunate that like the word of mouth, the practitioners rooting it in science has been a great foundation, and we're going to grow this thing. It's hard. Sometimes you want to compare yourself to the big dogs, and we'll get there one day, but it's not in our trajectory at this exact moment.
But I also think that like not having like millions of dollars to spend on marketing forces us and forces our team to be really creative with how we spend our money. And also like our partnerships are not transactional. They're based in like real relationships. And I always tell people like money is not the only thing that you could give into a partnership. There is so much that you could do to add value to other brands, to other people, to other leaders, whatever it is. And so we just get creative and we form partnerships that way. And then the partnerships are not transactional, and they're actually like real deep relationships. I mean, I had somebody reach out to me a month ago, and she's like, who does your PR? You're killing it. I'm like, wait, I'm killing it? We are? Where did you see us? And it's just because of these relationships that we have formed throughout our careers and, throughout WeNatal, that's really helping us drive our growth.
Yeah, 100%. Can you share like an example of a partnership like that, and how it's, helped you guys or led to like sales or something amazing like that?
I think what we love is like finding like-minded brands who can either help our community in the fertility space, whether it's like at-home testing or knowing more about medicine, in the nutrition space, clean products, you name it. We're kind of always meeting brands or through our network, exploring what can help our community. And I also think that has also stemmed our growth. Being generous with education was at the forefront of our band. And that started before we even had a product. We started with this education and we've been committed to it from the start, between emails, newsletters, blogs, podcasts. We are always about enriching people's journey with all the info we wish we had. And I think that's also led to a huge part of the growth. But as far as partnerships, I mean, we've partnered with baby brands, fertility brands, postpartum brands.
I would say though, like the relationship building is the foundation of everything. And I think there's something to be said about starting a brand in your 40s versus like in your 20s, because between the two of us, all of our Nike relationships, all of my relationships in the functional medicine space, when we launched WeNatal, we literally sent an email to all of the people in our network. And we were like, we're launching this brand. Here's what we're asking you to do. Can you post about us? Can you share about us? Can you introduce us to X, Y, and Z? And literally that's how we got off the ground. It's truly from our friends and family. But I would say, like, if we go like super specific, about like one relationship per se, I have a friend in the wellness space who recently was launching a book and was looking for people to sponsor her book launch. And I said to her, listen, like, we're friends. I just feel like, I'm not going to give you like $10,000 to sponsor your book launch. That's weird. We're going to throw your book launch party. And we love throwing parties. We love creating experiences. And that's what we did. And that is not her forte. And so that was just a way to kind of take our relationship with her to the next level. We gave her something that she didn't have. She would have never had a book launch party if it wasn't for us. And it was a really great way for us to celebrate our friend, but also continue to build this relationship with her.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing the example. And I guess like going back to your days together at Nike, did you ever think you would start a company together, or like, did you ever imagine being entrepreneurs?
I think we always said, especially like later in our career, like, wouldn't it be great if we started a business together? We're best friends. We knew we balanced each other in a lot of ways. We're yin and yang in a lot of ways. So I think we just always envisioned that it would be in marketing or branding or something. I don't think I ever envisioned having a supplement industry.
I don't think Vida ever envisioned in her life leaving Nike, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's like when you're in the corporate world and your identity is so wrapped heavily, it's hard to even think about leaving.
And for me, I'd say like my whole family, my siblings are very successful entrepreneurs. My parents are very successful entrepreneurs. And I was always in the corporate world. And I always thought it was weird that I was in corporate, but I was successful. And I was like, when I started at Hurley, I joined as a marketing manager. And 3 years later, I was VP of strategy. And I just always thought it was weird, but I was excelling really quickly within these organizations. And so I think I always thought that I would have something, but I didn't know what it would be. And yeah, I think just all of that experience in corporate, working for big companies, small companies, Vida managing teams of like hundreds of people, really gives us the skill set to, create this brand.
Yeah.
And Vida, were you at Nike until WeNatal?
Yeah. I was there even actually after WeNatal. I mean, I was literally doing it nights and weekends until most recently. making my exit. But it's hard. Startup world is not zero to corporate salary. So Ronit left her career. She took the biggest sacrifice, and I'm forever grateful. I have the best co-founder in the world, but she took the jump for us first. And then I knew I would be a close second, but it wasn't immediate. So I was still doing my corporate job, and then nights and weekends we would get together, our kids would play, and we would literally work all day on WeNatal. And it was a labor of love until we launched.
At what point were you like, I'm going to quit Nike and go full time on this?
I think I toyed with it for like a year plus. It's like, it's so hard to leave the stability, and you also want to ensure that your company is ready to, and even on a great day, we're not taking huge salaries. We're barely, we're doing this the right way to grow a brand and do it sustainably. So I grappled with it for a long time. And I will also tell you that as 20-year executive at Nike, like your identity is so far wrapped in your corporate career. It was hard for me. Like I actually had to separate my identity and my worth from my corporate career. And that's time. Like I took the time. I did therapy with a life coach. I really did the work to know that like I am amazing in and out of this place. And there isn't a day that goes by in my entrepreneur world where I don't use all the amazing experience I've learned the last 20 years. So it served me so well. It's easy to stay in the corporate world forever. They call it the golden handcuffs for a reason. But it's so invigorating actually, driving your life mission. And I truly believe this is that for me.
Yeah. My husband works in corporate America, so we have this conversation often about the golden handcuffs.
Yes, it's real.
Well, as we kind of start to wrap things up, I will end with my favorite question. Can you share a female founder, investor, or leader who inspires you, and a bit about why?
The first name that comes to mind for me is Melanie Strong. She is now an investor and co-founder of Next Ventures, a big venture fund alongside Lance Armstrong and some other people. But she was my mentor for 15 years plus at Nike. And I will say the main reason why is not only was she a brilliant marketer, but she was by far one of the best people leaders I have ever worked for. And I didn't see that balance much in a very male-dominated sport industry. And she had the right balance of care for people and truly amazing, like inspiring work. And across my career, I'd met so many female founders that I did not want to be like and didn't want to be a manager like them. But she was always one that would make the time for people. And she pushed me and she inspired me. And she continues to do so now as a huge venture capitalist. She's literally spending her life trying to make wellness accessible through the brands she invests in, like Oura Ring and other supplement companies. So she is now also an amazing friend and advocate for us at WeNatal.
And I would say for me, the first one that comes to mind is Kelly LeVeque. She's a celebrity nutritionist. She's an advisor for us at WeNatal, but she's also a mom of 3 who's created an incredible business for herself, but she also somehow finds balance to be the most amazing mom, take care of herself, work out, eat clean, feed her kids clean. And I think like the reason why I admire her so much is because she's also super genuine in the brands that she recommends. She says no to so many people. And I think nowadays, and so many brands, so many collaborations, and people could see that she's genuine. And that's probably one of the main reasons why if she ever talks about WeNatal, our sales go up the roof, because she is a genuine girl. She practices what she preaches. There's no bullshit there. And she's just like so nice and sweet.
Well, thank you for both shout outs. And then finally, where can everyone find each of you, and where can people find WeNatal?
Yeah, so our brand is WeNatal on WeNatal.com. On social, we're at we_natal. And people can find us both on LinkedIn, Ronit Menashe, Vida Delrahim. On social media, we're both private. So, but you can see us on WeNatal's social because we're there all the time. And if anybody ever needs advice, guidance, we respond to every single DM, or care@wenatal.com. If anybody wants to message us, anyone has issues, and also any founders who want to get into the supplement space, feel free to reach out. We love connecting with people, helping, we have made a lot of mistakes, and we want to, help people, and guide them if they need.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining the show. It was great meeting both of you, and I definitely learned a lot during this episode.
Thanks
for having us.